So everyone knows Supremacy got banned along with a lot of Spectre, although most of them got unbanned, but you don't really know why, because the theory is that it's just dual boxing. That's what officially the ban was for. However, there's a whole lot more to it, because we made the mistake of recruiting Leona, and Leona, I'm going to call this a scam because, well, you'll understand later, it's a lot more than... It's more than you can even imagine if you haven't heard the story already. I'll start with what we know, okay? We made the mistake of recruiting Leona. Leona has been accused of scamming multiple times in the past, and one of them we have pretty solid evidence now to believe really did happen, but he denied it. And we recruited him because we believed him when he said, this doesn't make sense for me to have done, which it didn't, and I wouldn't have gained anything out of it, which he didn't. And so we kind of just believed that it didn't seem all that likely, and some other things lined up. You know, we kind of believed it. Well, we did believe it, and didn't believe that he was capable of doing that type of thing, so we played with him. And in this party, Leona was a top 3 most active player in the party, literally playing 12 hours a day, if not way more than that, for the majority of the server. But while doing so, he was hardcore multi-boxing, often playing 4 characters at once, with at least 2 of them not even being related to the party. Like, I have this screenshot here where 2 characters are related to the party, but even the 2 characters that are related to the party, the one of them is doing something nobody asked him to do, and nobody even knew he was doing. He was just running a character to Kruma. I don't know why. I don't even know what he was doing. It's just, he just liked to play a lot of characters at once, and I guess it was like, I don't know, an ego thing. He just liked to be on 7 characters at once doing fucking nothing, which is why, while multi-boxing, apparently, he was actually getting banned regularly for macro farming. So he was on these alternate PCs. I think he has up to 4 laptops doing, you know, macro, like delay macro, whatever, basically botting and getting banned, which is crazy. Now, the crazy thing is though, this isn't just Leona getting caught, okay? Because while multi-boxing, Leona was also spam reporting us in game and on Discord with an alternate Discord account for potentially up to 2 weeks, is what we're told. He was playing 12 hours a day, and the night before, he was like hyping us up to go farm, and he was reporting us at the same time. Now, before being banned, Leona was leveling multiple side characters, some potentially to level 40 or above, and Leona was using Parsec to play multiple characters on one PC, and about 30 hours before the party was banned, 2 of Leona's side characters were banned for dual boxing. So I forgot this when I was recording, but you can line it up, and you can only tell within the minute because I can see when my recording started, and I can see the minute that the ban happened, but at the same minute that the bans happened, Leona abruptly finished a sentence, and then stopped talking and never talked the entire rest of the night. I guess he muted and disconnected later. But he denies that these were his accounts, but he does completely cut off like half of a sentence and then just go completely mute. Now I wanted to make this so that he can't go to another party the same way he came to us and say, you know, that doesn't make sense for me to have done this. It all got pinned on me and I didn't do anything wrong, and have it be at all believable, right? This should follow this motherfucker around forever. Now, Leona maintains a full denial, but certain things are pretty certain, and the evidence overall is unbelievably convincing, including things that he denies that we know for a fact to be true. Now, the thing is, why we need this much evidence is because if you're asking why he did it, there's no good reason. In fact, one of my best theories is that he's literally got multiple personalities because this shit just doesn't make any goddamn sense. Okay, it doesn't. And although he's generally been shady in the past and often provably lied for literally no discernible reason, like tens of times I can remember him getting caught in small lies, nobody expected him to be capable of this. I just thought he was kind of shady and maybe wouldn't trust him. Oh well. With evidence, I'm going to show you some things, but I want to show as few DMs as possible and voice recordings as possible. Look, if you struggle to believe it, you can ask other Supremacy members that have seen this evidence as well, but I don't want to put anything here that's either going to get this video removed because it's, you know, identifiable information. I don't want to put out anything there. Look, I don't know, man. Look, I just don't want to leak. I don't want to do that stuff, even if I think this guy is a complete piece of shit. But to begin with, we have chat logs of a character, Salty Dwarf, reporting us in game, and we can tie Leona directly to this account using extra evidence. These comments were also sent right after Leona had said he was going AFK to do something for a couple of hours, and I can say this is exactly how Leona talks, but that's kind of meaningless evidence, right? Now, while Nikita is known to dislike Leona, well, he's got really good reasons for it. At the point in time this next bit was shared with us, we were fairly certain he didn't actually know who was leaking these things. That's why he initially said in Discord we didn't pay a driver well enough because, well, even though we don't pay drivers, because the reality makes so little sense. It makes a lot of sense that this might be someone that we paid, but like, we shorted or something, right? The thing is, the account that Salty Dwarf was on was linked back to this master account, which was created with this IP. Of course, I'm going to blank it out. At the point that this is found, this IP is just tied to some hardware IDs on the back end and not to any individual person as far as we know. We were then given a list of characters this IP was logged into and quickly realized they overlapped exactly with when Get High, Leona, was playing L2. Then we looked at his IP in TeamSpeak and it was the exact same IP. So pretty much this should be a pretty good link, amount of evidence. However, it's not the perfect evidence if Leona will try and argue that, Nikita has a vendetta against him. And Nikita is somehow going to have fabricated all of this evidence without even knowing it was him. I don't really believe that. But, so we've got a whole bunch more evidence of things that he's also done. So then we get this screenshot of accounts that this player logged into. And a few of these are our accounts, like AI. Frozen is on the same thing. Another one was ours, 2 Subdesk 2. That was one of our main destros. And there's some other weird shit going on with that as well. But a lot of these have nothing to do with us. In fact, half or more of these have nothing to do with our party. And he was logging them from whichever PC he was mainly playing Heinrich on. Now, with the evidence we've seen, there's also a bunch of other characters like Malona, Marianne, Shay that were banned alongside our ban, but also a couple of them were banned about a day and a half before our party got banned. And part of it is, I think, that what may have happened is he got banned, a day before we got banned, and he started reporting us even more aggressively and kind of overlapping the way he was playing to maybe even get us banned specifically. Because when I look at this other bit of information, here's a list of characters that this player logged on his IP. Now, 2-piece Subdestro, that's Heinrich. Okay, now one of the things we were doing the night before we got banned, or maybe a day before we got banned, is we were farming Loa, and one thing we do quite often, or we did quite often, is we would log from one destro. Let's say Heinrich and Gaston were our 2 high-level destros, but we did this a lot in Garden of Eva, where you log one, you use Frenzy on it, kill the train, go back to a spot, log off, log onto the other destro, and pull another train, and that way you have Frenzy permanently instead of waiting on cooldowns. And we were doing this same thing in Loa for trying to get some recipes, whatever. Well, we can see here that this IP, and we can line this up, he logged out at 6:43, then 7:40, 7:46, 7:52, 7:50. So this is him logging out between each train to swap destros. And we were doing something similar with the buffers where we were logging out between the Prophet and the SC because, well, that's what you have to do if you don't want to be dual boxing. But he wasn't logging into the other destro from this PC. He was logging out of one destro. And we saw him, he got offline. He went out a game and then he logged in the other one. But I guess because he was trying to avoid cross-contamination between his setups or something, he was logging out of one destro and then logging into another on a different computer to pull the next train. And really, this continues to be baffling to me to this moment. I still don't comprehend it must just be a cross-contamination thing. I don't get it. He was basically only logging this destro with his main PC. Maybe he was going to try and say he wasn't dual boxing or something. I really don't. It doesn't make any damn sense to me. But we can also see that on the final day before we got banned, he started logging a bunch of other characters unrelated to our party from the same IP. And I managed to bait him into saying that the rest of these characters that we know, based on lining up the times logged in and out, I can line up the exact times. This is his IP logging into this account. So these are definitely his characters. He denied any of these were his. And okay, all right, that's a whole lot of apparent evil mastermind fabrication to try and prove. I don't know what they were trying to prove here. That's like what goal they'd be achieving, but we actually tested one of these accounts. In fact, we tested all of them, including Salty Dwarf, which isn't on this list, with the password that Leona uses on almost every server. I'm not going to tell you what that password is, but I can tell you these use the same password, and you can tell when an account is banned, if you log in with the wrong password, it's going to say wrong password. But if you log in with the right password, then it's going to tell you the account is actually closed or banned or whatever it says exactly. All of these accounts can be logged in with Leona's password, and he's trying to deny that they're his. He's saying these aren't my accounts. I have no idea. Only one of these accounts he said was his, because he couldn't deny it because he'd used that name on a different server. But these all have to be his. They're using his password. So one thing that I cut out of this video because I didn't want to leak DMs, but I'm just going to blur it out and talk about it anyways. So one of the things that ended up happening is that our group leadership chat, which wasn't just leaders, it was just basically the most trusted people in the party. We've all played together for like eight plus years for the most part. One of a few messages that just looked bad in that chat got leaked. And one of them was cut off, and I'll show you the what it looks like. The bottom, the timestamp was cut off. And I realized immediately everyone uses Discord in English that is in that chat except for Leona. And we had kind of suspected Leona beforehand. I wanted to line it up. And I know something that you can do actually is with the bottom pixel of just one pixel at the very bottom of a word, you can actually pretty effectively tell what that word is if you're autistic enough to really line up the letters. Me, being a totally normal L2 player, I lined up the letters, and you can actually tell without a shadow of a doubt that this has to be in German. In fact, if it was in English, there would be a today, because it was from today, Y leaning down under the line, and really no other languages even look remotely similar to this. You can even line up the timestamp and see that it's 1555 or 1655. It's a little harder to tell with the 5 and the 6, and those line up a little bit better, like a little more overlap, but you can definitely tell this is in German. And for this not to be Leona, it means someone would have had to go through all of the effort to frame Leona, then take a picture of a Discord message, change their Discord to German in order to frame Leona, but then also somehow expect that someone would line up the bottom, and I've never done this before, so it's not like they knew I'd do this, line up the bottom pixel that was not cut off, line it up and forensically analyze to prove that that was in German, and that was like, and then they change it back to English for a second screenshot. That's supposed to be someone framing Leona. They actually have to, there's no way. What makes much more sense is that Leona realized his Discord is in German, took a screenshot, cut off the timestamp because he knew, well, if I show it in German, this is going to obviously be me, then changed his Discord to English, and then later screenshotted it in English. I mean, I was told to add this because everything else, I guess, is supposed to be not necessarily bulletproof evidence, but this is like the bulletproof evidence, because honestly, the first time I recorded this, I didn't have that shit in here. And one of the other questions you might have is, Leona, he's not an idiot, and he's used this argument because he continues to maintain his innocence, although when he was confronted with the evidence initially, he actually blocked everybody and waited a day, but then the next day he decided he maybe can convince someone. I mean, it's pretty damning when you get the evidence that you cheated, or you in this case spam reported a party for 2 weeks that you played with only for like a month and a half, or actually had played with for years, but basically multi-boxed and then reported yourself to like ensure that you were going to get banned by like whatever. He might say, he would say, and he had said that, why would he log Salty Dwarf with his main character IP? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it's important to keep in mind, he didn't log Salty Dwarf with his main IP. He actually created the master account with his main IP in early November-ish. So what I think he didn't realize is that IP is actually logged as well. It's not just the accounts you logged in, but the master account IP creation is also logged. Now, one of the things that I continue to ask myself is, why did he do this? And I'll give you a theory. Okay, we know from talking to players in the party that he was unhappy in the party. In fact, there were specific people in the party that he really, really hated and really didn't want to play with. But just in general, he felt that he wasn't respected in the party and people didn't listen to him. Fair. I mean, they weren't disrespecting him, but he wasn't like a leadership, like authority figure. He wasn't like one of the leaders that, was people would listen to. So I could see how he could feel that. Now, we kind of think that what might have happened is that he would just get really frustrated. And when he got really frustrated, he would go AFK. He would just rage quit a lot of the time. He would usually come back and say, "Oh no, I had to do something in real life. Like I had to go drive someone or something like that." But you can tell a rage quit when you see one. And we think in that meantime, during the rage quit, we think he might have just been spam reporting us. And then he also kind of like guaranteed we got banned by doing weird things like I showed earlier, logging between the destros on different PCs, I think trying to make sure we got banned or something. The other thing is that like the biggest problem is that he was also apparently kind of spam changing hardware IDs. We're not really sure how he did it or what the deal is, but there's basically far too many hardware IDs for the number of players we had. And so we think, I think either every time he got banned from macro farming, which is apparently like 4 or more times, he would change hardware ID, or he would just regularly had something that would change hardware ID like daily or even more than daily for him. And that means that basically when they looked at our characters to see if, any of them were innocent or could be unbanned or anything, there was way too much contamination of everything to actually really know what was legit and what wasn't, or what could be fixed. And so basically we were fucked. So pretty much the moral of the story is don't recruit Leona, but also like, what the fuck? Like, this is just such a mind fuck, dude. This guy, he was literally until the last day playing like 10 plus hours a day, up to the last day, and reporting us. But reporting us for what he was doing. Why? What the fuck? I don't even know, man.